Hey everybody, it's Julie, and in today's Hello Monday video, I'm going to be making a fall themed Thanksgiving type card using a brand new upcoming die set called Gorgeous because I couldn't resist the play on words to call it that. So anyway, I'm going to make a base card out of some Basil Taffy cardstock. This is one of my favorite neutral cardstocks of all time ever in the history of the world. And I scored it with my Martha Stewart mini scoreboard, and I creased the phone line with a Teflon bone folder, and then I'll set that aside while I move on. And this is Neenah Heavyweight Solar White that I'm using to create the focal panel, and I'm using Avery L's pigment inks to create streaks of color. And I'm using a technique called direct to paper. If you're not familiar with it, I'm just taking my ink pad and swiping the corner or the edge of it across my paper surface. And the trick is to not be so aggressive that you tear the foam off your ink pad and ruin your ink pad. So you do want to work with a nicely well inked ink pad so that you don't, if it's too dry, you're going to obviously create so much pull you could tear the foam off your pad. So my pads are nicely inked, and then I'm just smearing that color across. And I love those colors together. It's Avery L's Sea Glass, and I think it's a mustard color, and conch shell. And I just thought they looked gorgeous together to create this fall themed card. And because pigment ink does take a little bit of extra time to dry, and this is a hybrid pink pigment ink, I'm just going to blot it a little bit against some clean scratch paper to kind of help remove any of the excess. And then I'm going to continue on by trimming down with my tonic guillotine trimmer. I wanted to shave off about a ½ inch on the short end and ½ inch off the long edge to continue on with the layout that I wanted to carry out. So I'll set that aside, and then I'm going to use some unused clean dryer sheets. These are unscented, and I folded the one sheet. I opened it up, and then I folded it in half, and then I folded it in half again. So I have 4 thicknesses deep of the dryer sheet. And this is going to act as kind of a temporary adhesive to the back of that scrap of Neenah Solar White. This is the heavyweight. I love working with the heavyweight when I die cut things. And I'm going to run it through my Big Shot, and then you'll see that it holds all the negative pieces there onto the dryer sheet, and I don't have to use a pokey tool to eject the paper from the die. And then it keeps all the die cut pieces and the negatives corralled so they don't get lost or make a mess on my work surface. And then I'm just going to peel off what I want to work with. So I'm just showing you here how easy it is to pull up those die cut shapes. And then to work with them further, I'm going to take a piece of that Post-it removable tape and just kind of temporarily mount them to that to give me something to hang on to. And I'm using a Zig two-way glue pen to apply some glue. It usually goes on blue, but I'm applying it fairly lightly here. But it goes on blue, and then it dries clear, and you want to give it a little bit of time to dry, and it creates a temporary adhesive. And what I love about using the Zig two-way glue pen is that it is perfect. Once it has become dry, it is tacky, and you can take your leftover bits of that iDeco Craft foil, or is it iCraft Deco foil? I never can get the name right. Anyway, it's this foil that comes on the transfer sheets, the Mylar transfer sheets, and I just have lots of scraps that are left over from previous projects, and I'm just going to rub the scraps that are left over onto those areas that have the Zig two-way glue on the die cut. So in this way, it's a really cool way to do some selective foiling instead of doing foil all over the whole thing. So I'm highlighting with foil. So I'm just going to burnish that on with the tips of my finger, make sure I get all the glue areas there coated with some foil, and then I can go ahead and take those pieces and mount them together. I'm actually going to glue the leaf to the back side of the pumpkin, and then I'll mount the whole thing together onto my focal panel here. And I'm just adding some glue here in the center portion of the pumpkin. I'm not really worried about the outermost edges because I do want to be able to tuck some embellishments underneath those outer edges. So I'm just not going to worry about those too much. Put my glue away. I'm just using one of those little clothing tags. I cut off the big end so I could slip that down in because the original cap got lost when I was teaching a class. So I had to figure out a way because I want to toss the whole bottle away. It's a really good glue applicator. So now I've got my pumpkin in place there, and I'm going to use Archival Jet Black to ink up the Thankful set, which I actually cut apart. It says Thankful for You in the Thankful stamp set, but I cut it apart so I could just use the word thankful. And it's okay because I can still mount them together and use them again if I want to. And I stamped that into place. I had to get my pumpkin mounted first, and then I'm going to use a scrap strip of some washi tape that I had left over. Now, I actually created this card previously, but I didn't film it, so I'm filming it now. So you might see a little bit of differences in the color swipes of color from the pigment ink or the washi tape, but for the most part, everything is almost identical to the original prototype that I made. And I'm going to use some of this mono the multi-medium matte medium, and I'll just squidge some of that out onto a post-it note and then swipe my little sequins there. These are just some leftover sequins. I think the Maggie Holmes sequins there are the gold and the pink one, and then the blue one is a leftover from an old Lawn Fawn set of sequins that I had. And I'm just gonna swipe those through the glue and use my tweezers to put them in place. And I love the effect of having those little embellished sequins and the washi tape. All the supplies are available at ellenhutson.com, and you can see more still shots and further details at the Classroom blog. Thanks for watching.